You're listening to Wellfed, and I'm your host, John Sorrentino. Thank you for clicking on this third part of the mini-series leading up to the Season 2 release of Wellfed. If you listened to the first season, thank you so much for supporting and listening again. I appreciate it. If you're new here, definitely check out the first two episodes in this, or first two parts of this mini-series. In the first one, I talk about the concept for Wellfed and how I came up with it and what I was doing at the time. In the second part, I talk about planning and getting the concept ready to actually go live and how I went about finding guests for season 1. And in this third part, I'm going to talk about the ideas that I went into season 2 and the learnings that I did from that I got from season 1 and what I wanted to do with this new season. So as I mentioned in the previous ones, I decided I was going to launch a podcast. I launched season 1 of Wellfed as a designer who was looking to get a lot of answers for these questions that I had that I felt like I couldn't really ask the people in my immediate circle. So if you're a young creative or you are just, entering the job field in the creative industry, you're going to have a ton of questions just like me. And that was sort of the idea and the intention behind Wellfed, the podcast at least. And going into season 2, I knew that I wanted to focus a lot on this idea of creative heroes. I was really thinking of the concept of what Wellfed was and how it started. In part 1, I talk about how it started basically in my kitchen making cooking videos. And since then, it's evolved into talking to professionals in the creative industry and about their experiences and their struggles and kind of how they got to where they are today. And I wanted to focus in on this idea of creative heroes because the people that I was talking to were people that I really admired, and I either for their ideas or for their work. And it was really hard because I feel like Wellfed is it heavily sides in the world of food. But I didn't want to get rid of the name because I really like it. And I thought that, when I think about who Wellfed is, if it was a person, it's sort of like that really wholesome, welcoming, warm voice in the kitchen of like your family holiday party that no matter who you are or what experience you have, they like hand you an apron or a towel and they ask you for help. And as you're helping them, they're like asking you questions and having a really wholesome conversation. And that was sort of the idea going into season 2 was I wanted to talk to these people who I really admired and have sort of real conversations from a place of admiration, but also from a place of, looking to learn and looking, trying not to fanboy all the time, but really trying to learn from these people and use their experiences to kind of grow. The concept for season 2 was wholesome conversations and creative heroes. So when I first started season 1, I had about 9 guests, I think. Yeah, I think 9. And going into season 2, I decided that it would be a great idea to try and double that. So this season we have about 20 guests, and in addition to having 20 guests or about 20 guests, I decided that I was going to try and book them all before the new year. That didn't happen. And I was also going to try and create a cool video segment to go along with it. So not only was I trying to make sure that the audio was the best quality it could possibly be, but I was also going to piece together a short video format segment that I would have each guest, if they wanted to, participate in and do that. This has been very much a big sort of design branding project in some ways. I think I just like kind of getting myself into trouble and working on new mediums all the time, and Wellfed has definitely been a vehicle for that. But going into the season, I decided that I was going to try and book 2 guests a day to record and really use my time efficiently, and it's definitely been a little taxing. I'm ready for the season 2 release. I'm really excited for it, I think it's really great, but it was definitely a lot of work. Again, it's some of the things that you don't really get to experience as a designer in your day-to-day full-time job is like doing a lot of the back end work of like emailing, scheduling, the guests, having conversations with them, traveling to their offices or their apartments sometimes, setting up all the stuff. And it's been a lot of fun. I would not change it for anything. Honestly, I've enjoyed every minute of it, every moment of it, and all the people that I've been able to meet. But also I wanted to kind of change the concept a little bit. I really wanted to focus in on this idea of creative heroes and really tell their backstory. There's a lot of great podcasts out there. There are thousands, if not almost millions probably. And I just felt like there wasn't really a podcast for creative individuals like myself. Not to say, well, there are, but not the ones that I was looking for. There's definitely the iconic heroes of mine who do podcasts like Debbie Millman, who does Design Matters, and that is an absolutely amazing podcast. It's been a huge part of my upbringing, or just me learning about design. And if you haven't listened to that, I would absolutely recommend it. There's also a ton of other podcasts. I think a lot of the things that Gimlet makes are really great, but I just felt like there was an opportunity to really talk to, individuals about design and photography and motion graphics and illustration and all of those kind of facets of the creative industry, and tell their story and really talk about how they went through their career and how they navigated that. And, I think that was really the one thing that I wanted to focus in on this season. So, pretty much through all of the guests, we sort of start off from a place of their childhood. We talk about their upbringing and if there was someone that influenced them when they were younger to kind of continue pursuing the kind of path of a creative. And then we go through some of their interests. I try to find things that people wouldn't normally ask or know about them, being able to kind of surprise my guests with questions that I'm genuinely interested in knowing about. I think that really kind of, makes the conversation a little bit more comfortable and a little bit more relaxing for them instead of just talking about business all the time. That has been really fun this season. Another big piece, like I mentioned, was that we decided that we were I decided that I was going to launch the video segment called 5 Drawings in 5 Minutes, where I ask all my guests 5 simple questions about, personal questions, and they have to answer the questions by drawing them on a whiteboard. And I thought that was a lot of fun. I'm really excited to see how that turned out, and excited to see where that takes us for this season. Before I wrap up this part 3, I want to give a huge shout out to a few people that have been absolutely a big part of working on this podcast this season. First, I want to give a huge shout out to my friend Kevin Bendis, who, without him, the podcast would not sound nearly as good as it does. He is an audio engineer out in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, and I've known him for the last couple of years. And when I asked him if he wanted to help me on this, he immediately said yes. I can't thank him enough. And Kevin, if you're listening, I really appreciate it. I also really want to thank Andy Brienza for connecting me to his friend, Eric, who is helping me on the video segment this season. Again, another big thing big goal that I wanted to do. And Eric has been really awesome to work with. I really kind of rely on him and trust his creative vision, and so far it's been wonderful to work with him. So Eric, thank you so much. Andy, thank you as well. And I just want to thank everyone who's listened to this podcast. I think it starts off small, and with any project, I guess you really can go into it. You should go into it expecting absolutely nothing. So for me, the bar was set really low, and to hear just some of my friends kind of mention to me that they really enjoyed an episode here and there has been really helpful. And I'm really thankful for that. So thank you for everyone for listening to this podcast and coming along on this journey with me. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I'm going to end this episode here. If you want to find out more about the podcast and Wellfed, you can go to wellfedpodcast.com, and you can also connect to Wellfed on social media on pretty much every platform, including TikTok, at Wellfed Podcast. If you have any questions, feel free to DM or message me. I'm more than happy to lend a helping hand or have a phone call or talk just like this. And yeah, so I hope you enjoy this season 2, and I look forward to hearing from you. Bye.